Now let's do another example. (6y plus 2 equals 8 minus 3y). 6y plus 2 equals 8 minus 3y. In this example, you notice that there is something different. The variable is y. Y appears on the left side of the equation. Y also appears on the right side of the equation. We need to get y by itself on one side of the equation so that we have variable equals constant, or the reverse. But let's get variable equals constant. That means we want the variable to end up on the left-hand side. Now all we can do is remove terms by adding their opposites, or remove coefficients by dividing by the coefficient. We want to remove the variable term on the right side. We want to remove the constant term on the left side. Let's begin by cleaning up the left-hand side by adding the opposite of the extra term, which is 2. The opposite of 2 is negative 2. So let's begin by adding negative 2 to both sides of this equation. That means we write 6y plus 2 plus negative 2 equals 8 plus negative 3y plus negative 2. Notice the only change I made in the original problem in copying it was to change from subtract to add the opposite. But the big change that I made on both sides of the equation, following the golden rule, was to add negative 2 on both sides of the equation. When we add negative 2 on both sides of the equation, the left-hand side has the 2's cancel, leaving 6y. On the right-hand side, we can combine the 8 and the negative 2 to get 6. And so we get 6y equals 6 plus negative 3y. Notice that on the left-hand side we have a variable term. On the right-hand side we have a constant and a variable term. We want to remove the variable term from the right. To remove negative 3y, we will add the opposite of negative 3y, which is positive 3y. And so our next line is to use the addition property once again and add positive 3y to both sides of this equation. Add positive 3y to both sides of the equation. That gives us 6y plus 3y equals 6 plus negative 3y plus 3y. On the left side, 6y plus 3y will give us 9y. On the right side, the negative 3y and positive 3y combine to cancel. That leaves us 9y equals 6. 9y equals 6. Then, to get the y by itself, the only thing left is to eliminate its coefficient. To eliminate this coefficient that's multiplied by y, we divide by the coefficient, divide by exactly the same thing, which is 9, so that the 9's will cancel. On the right side we have 6 divided by 9. That leaves us y equals 6 over 9, which reduces to 2/3. And so we get y equals 2/3. Before we check this, let me go back through to be sure you understand the order of the steps that we take. We begin by using the addition property. We add the opposite of a term we want to remove. I chose to remove first the 2, the constant on the left. Once that is gone, we look at what's left and notice that we have variable term on the left, constant term on the right, and variable term on the right. That variable term on the right needs to be removed, and so we add its opposite. Adding 3y to both sides eliminates that variable term from the right side. And so we've done an elimination followed by another elimination. In both cases, the eliminations are accomplished by adding the opposite of the term we want to eliminate to both sides of the equation. That gets us down to variable term on the left, constant term on the right. The only thing remaining to prevent us from having solved the equation is the variable has a coefficient. The final step is to divide both sides by that coefficient to get variable equals constant. Let's check this problem. Once again, we check by copying the problem down exactly as it appeared at the beginning, not a later step, but exactly as it was at the beginning. 6y plus 2 equals 8 minus 3y. We set up our T format with the vertical bar under the equals mark to create a wall to separate the sides. In place of the variable, we write a set of parentheses in each case, so that we have 6 times parentheses plus 2 on the left, and 8 subtract 3 times parentheses on the right. In each case, we fill in what the y stands for, which is 2/3. So we have 6 times 2/3 plus 2 equals 8 subtract 3 times 2/3. 6 times 2/3 is 12/3, which is 4. And so we get 4 plus 2 on the left. 3 times 2/3 is 6/3, which is 2. And so we get 8 subtract 2, which is 8 add negative 2 on the right. The left side, 4 plus 2, gives us 6. The right side, 8 plus negative 2, also gives us 6. That means this check is accurate, and we have y equals 2/3 as our solution. Now I'll give you some exercises to do. Copy these exercises down. Be sure you have them exactly right. Then work the exercises after you stop the tape. Then turn the tape back on to check your answers. Exercise 1, negative 4x plus 5 equals 11. Negative 4x plus 5 equals 11. Exercise 2, n subtract 4 equals 12 subtract 3n. n subtract 4 equals 12 subtract 3n. Exercise 3, 4y subtract 3 equals negative 2y subtract 15. 4y subtract 3 equals negative 2y subtract 15. Your answer should be, for number 1, x equals negative 3/2. For number 2, n equals 4. And for number 3, y equals -2. If you made mistakes on any of these and cannot find where you went wrong, be sure to mark on your paper where you're having trouble so that when you go to the lab, you can get help from a tutor or a lab instructor. This concludes Math Tape number 072.